No, just
So, all right, everyone, we will go ahead and get started. And so today we're going over Success After Service, 5 Steps to Getting Hired with the Veteran Success Center. So my name is Bailey Bracken. I'm a career advisor here for the School of Business and School of Education. I'm gonna let Jackie introduce herself as she gets
is
here.
everyone able to hear me by any chance? Okay. All right, perfect. My name is Jacqueline Polk. Sorry about the technical difficulty. My team has been awesome in helping. But my name is Jacqueline Polk. I go by Jackie. I'm the career advisor for the School of Human Services and the School of Arts and Sciences.
And Ms. Gray, do you want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Miss Gray, first name Miss, middle name period, last name Gray. I am the Assistant Director of the Veteran Success Center. I assist students from combat to college to community, which means I transfer them over to career services to better enhance their skills and to help them become employable.
Yeah. So today we'll go ahead and get started with the step 1. So step 1 would be to find your passion. The first and most important step is to figure out what kind of work you want to do and where you want to do that kind of work and who has the authority to hire you, and find the work where you want to do where it's not just focused on money. But this all does kind of go back to your values. If money is very important to you, you will probably enjoy a job that is higher paying salary. So making sure you balance your values, which we're going to go over work values in just a second. But at the end of the day, if you don't enjoy what you do and you don't understand your why, you won't enjoy your job. So it's important to find these. And to do this, you take stock of your values and your needs include what type of salary you need to live, the health care and coverage you need for your family. Do you have any limitations physically or mentally that you require some flexibility? So making sure you read the full job description and their coverage to making sure they provide you with those opportunities. Your values may include things about types of industries you might be working in or the type or size of company, and keep that list handy to compare job descriptions and company research. So that way you know your needs are being met when you apply, and you know when you get that job offer, you can confidently accept it. So, but let's go over work values real quick, because identifying your work values will diminish your chances of ultimately being satisfied with your career or job. It's imperative that you identify these pretty early on in the career planning process. So maybe thinking about what you did from your military experiences that you enjoyed and what can carry over. So whether that be achievement, recognition, helping others, prestige, compensation, creativity, variety, leisure. I know I kind of skipped around, but these are just all examples down here. This is just a great way. And maybe if you're more of a visual person and you just want to write down your values and keep track of those and make sure they're met, you can do that. There's also ways you can keep notes in your phone, and also on Focus 2, which is a career assessment we have where you can take a quiz and it lets you know your career values. So just another way, there's different ways to get work values, but I just want to list a few examples in case you weren't aware of what all could be a work value. And then, like I just mentioned, Focus 2, we have this to kind of help you with your work values. If you don't know where to start, it's a quiz and you have to pick like your top 3 and slowly like narrow it down. And obviously it'll give you job titles based off these work values if you're not sure if you know where to start. Obviously based off those values. So for like influence, income, and creativity, income is something that's important to me on here. So it's going to give me higher paying salary jobs. But at the end of the day, it kind of goes back to budgeting and seeing what your bottom line is. So maybe income's not that important to you, and maybe helping others is more important. It just all goes back to your values and what you're looking for in a career. So that's what's going to help you feel more successful. And also going into lifestyle, I want to share this resource because I think it's really cool. It helps budget out where you want to live maybe in the future, different areas, and it breaks it down, as you can see, from like apartment rent. I question if this is sometimes accurate with the Dallas rent, but we're good. I think it's accurate for the most part. Let me know if you can find rent for $700 in Dallas, Texas, and I would be very interested. But it does lay things out pretty much for like payment interest, like your energy is pretty smart on like electrical. So it does help you break down of like your basic needs, from car insurance to groceries or things like that. So that way you can get a better understanding what your bottom line is when you go into a job. So that way you can interview and they can see like, well, your salary might be this, but you will be able to negotiate maybe like your benefits or your medical, like your health or things like that. You can kind of wage and get more for your money in a way. but it's important to establish this bottom line along with understanding your values when you're walking into a career search. So that way, you know exactly what you're looking for and you won't get confused or get in situations where your needs are not being met.
Which takes us into step 2. So you've seen, I understand what my passion is. I've taken some time to look at my values. I did focus 2 assessment. Then I, looked at my lifestyle. But now it's the big piece that gets hard, especially with the pandemic. So let's normalize that this is easier said than done. But we want to think of network, network, and network. So this is where you want to take time to learn how to build a network. How do you strategically connect with others? What are important or necessary skills? Also, it helps you kind of create your own network of resources, references, so that as you are navigating this job search, it is a easier process to reach out to someone. I'll pick on Miss Gray, but for instance, this is Miss Gray is your network because you have a point of contact with Miss Gray, even if that was turning in a form or one event, she is now in your network. So that means that we want to leverage that network so that maybe something you don't know about, she can know about. And if she doesn't know about it, she'll connect you to someone who would know about it. So this is part of network. So it's not just a cheesy, get to know a lot of people, go around and get a lot of business cards, but you just want to be mindful of who you know, who could connect or speak highly of you. So I'm gonna throw this plug. There is ways to get involved with our VSC if that's just through volunteering or events. And so, yes, this may not be you working in the office, but coming to a program, you don't know who Miss Gray knows or who is sponsoring a program. And so, one and foremost, you're going to have a special network that is not offered to everyone else. So I want you to really take some notes from Miss Gray, the events that's hosted, to help you understand how to tap into that network. Connect with recruiters.
'Cause I have a Rolodex. They may not know what that means, Ms. Polk, but I have a Rolodex.
Oh, wow. Okay. Some of y'all may know, but Rolodex means she's connected, which means that once you may have an interest, and my students know this, it is okay to ask around. It is okay to connect. It's okay to say, I don't know what I want to do, but this idea, I can guarantee you now, Miss Gray is one of those people I tell you, she stream of research that I didn't even know of. I can sit right there and say, look, Jack, I sent you this. So the reason I'm saying it is anxiety invoking to have to talk to people, have to network with people. So we don't want to make it harder. We want to work smarter. So if that's just sending an email, if that's just coming to an event, if that's just literally connecting, coming to the center to do some type of project or homework, that's going to help you network with other students. And also there are recruiters who come in. There are opportunities where when things come through Miss Gray's inbox, she's sending it to us. But what if you're already there? She'll ask you, hey, are you interested in this? So that's a part of networking because it is recruiters, headhunters, individuals who are looking to get employment. And if we're honest, one, first of all, thank you for your service in every capacity and family's capacity. So guess what? We have companies who want to say thank you on a larger scale. So again, that's why we want you. It's not something bad to connect with recruiters, and some recruiters specialize in those who have served the country or those of families who have served the country. So we want to make sure that we get you connected with that. And one way, an easy way, one way is Miss Gray, okay? Write that down. I'm gonna connect with Miss Gray. I'm gonna go get on every one of her nerves. I'm gonna sit down with her because again, I want you to know you have support. But as much as we are here in career, I have not served, so I don't know about all the ins and outs, but guess who has? Miss Gray. So what she'll do is she'll say, this is what you need to do, takes over the Jackie, and she'll help you get these documents together. And we want to do that. But we also want to use LinkedIn. That's kind of what we go into next, is because LinkedIn is literally, it's not Facebook, it's not social media. And I understand you people have a lot of withdrawals from it. I get it. But I also do understand that after the pandemic or during the pandemic, our recruiters went from about 60% to about 80 to 90% are using it as a way to know who you are. Now, for a lot of my people have served, that's not a comfortable platform. And at any cost, I'm not going to say that it is. But I encourage my students to talk to us. You don't necessarily have to put a picture. Maybe it's a logo. Maybe you put the US flag. Regardless of what you put on there, we want this to be your living resume. So it's no personal, extremely personal information, the same information you would have on a resume. So talk to us. It's not about having to plaster your picture out there, because I know some of you are like, I've seen too much, I've done too much, I'm not. So guess what? We get that. But we want to make sure that it's promoting who you are. So an employer can really see that whole rounded individual, all the work that you've done in service, out of service, community, volunteer. We want to make sure we showcase that.
And Ms. Polk, I want to interject. Also,
Okay.
LinkedIn, if you submit your DD Form 214 and proof of service, you get the premium package for free for a year.
Message. And premium package means you can see what recruiters are looking at you, what searches you're coming up in, and the difference between the free version that you don't get to see that, whereas you already have 2 steps ahead. That means you, this man, a lot of people are recruiting me for business. My profile is coming up in business searches. Well, what if you wanted nonprofit? So then we'll know we need to tailor it more to nonprofit versus business. So Ms. Gray, y'all just see how Ms. Gray just threw that plug, didn't even know about, just knew it. You see how quick, and that is why Ms. Gray is your first contact and going into LinkedIn. And then the second one's your profile. My students, they get really nervous about profile. Talk to Ms. Gray. Talk to us. If you're already seeing it, if you are in any type of counseling, therapy, mentoring, coaching, talk to them about this. We want to address that this social media, we do not want it to be everyone's go-to, but we know that right now employers are using it, okay? So again, like example, we create the profile. You maybe don't want to upload a picture, but maybe you upload a clip art. Maybe you say, you know, in my summary, I just want to keep it very simple, very dry, just about my work. You can. And like Ms. Grace
And
said,
tell them to make sure that when they do post that picture, Ms. Polk, that they're not posting it with their weapon in hand, you know, looking like assassins and so forth, which tends to be an issue with sometimes the veterans when they post pictures or when they post their resume.
you know what? I like that Ms. Gray brought that up. One is that I want you to think, first of all, I think it's a skill. I've seen a resume. I didn't even know the name of the gun, but the person could break it down and put it back together, knew everything with it. And that is something to be proud of. But like Ms. Gray was mentioning, is that the best way for someone who's a civilian? I always made a joke, most civilians, we only worry about brushing our teeth. And so if someone was to see this high power weapon and I am not aware of guns, I'm not going to understand that the skills of the craftsmanship with the gun. So we don't want to, again, it's not bad that's promoting it, but we have to be mindful. To me, I wouldn't know. So I would see it as, oh my God, that makes me nervous. Whereas if someone was into guns and understood weaponry, it would be like, oh wow, that's a very difficult gun. You would, so you see where it just depends. Now, if you're going in a certain field that celebrates it, do it. But if not, I'll encourage just a clean cut, nice picture. I would say from chest up. If you did have a gun, cut the gun out if you can. Okay, Desmond, you do not feel attacked. But again, I think that it's impressive, you all, but I want to make sure that we think about our audience. And this goes into just some of the networking. Look at the companies, what they're asking for. You can still mention it. I never tell students to mention your skills, but we just want to make sure when someone first sees us, what are they seeing? And if that's what we're presenting, then they're going to already have that preconceived notion. But we do want to know about your expertise, your education, where you volunteered, some of your top skills. Customize your LinkedIn profile. So, you know, we don't leave it where it's ABCD 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. No, abbreviate. You do your first and last name or a year, whatever makes it good. So it's yours. We make it your own, but we don't want the profiles dry. Make a note. Please do not put student at UNT Dallas. No one is searching student at UNT Dallas. Yes, Ms. Gray.
And please don't put that you're an expert marksman.
Oh, wow. That's a new one.
Just unless it has relevance to the job in which you're applying for, which is usually, you know, a paid or hired killer or assassin. But please do not put, you know, that's one of the things that I see when I'm looking on LinkedIn when I see veterans posted, they're like, oh, it's an expert marksman. I don't know what that has to do with you working in the federal sector or academia. I don't want to know that. I want to know it if I was on the field, the battlefield, but not necessarily at the workplace.
We have a question. I don't know if are they able, Mark, Arthur, they ever unmute? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Perfect. So yeah, if you want to unmute or put in the chat, it's solely up to you.
So, okay, Miss Gray, you we were introduced. Hello, my name is Shamiko Ragsdale. I'm the vice president of SBA. Obviously I'm a student here at UNT Dallas, and we were introduced to Handshake through career services back in, I believe it had to either been fall 2018 or maybe spring 2019. Miss Gray, are you serious that veterans are doing this? And
Yes.
please don't tell me it's student veterans doing
It's
this.
not just student veterans, it's veterans that have gotten out the military, and they do go on LinkedIn, and some of them will put that they are an expert marksman or that they did some other things that's not relevant, but because that's the only resume that they know, or that's the only job they have, that's why you talk to experts like Ms. Polk and Ms. Braxton, because they know how to take that language and turn it around to make so it can be comprehensible to employers and not necessarily to other veterans that know what you're talking about, because sometimes they may not even know what you're talking about, especially when we start using terms like I was a 91 Charlie, or I was a Delta, or I was a Bravo. They don't know what that means. We know what that means, but they don't. That's why you have to talk to experts in order for them to help you put your job skills into layman terms and to be able to make it marketable.
Okay. One of the other reasons why I wanted to go ahead and chime in is because I would like to say that Mr. Lumsey and like I said, I've been here since 2018, but I know for a fact that 2019 that Mr. Lumsey and his team, Ms. Pope, this is my first time meeting you, but Mr. Lumsey has definitely taken his time to talk to us on, occasions, and have definitely taking the time out to say, hey, make sure you come to see us so that we can teach you guys how to make sure that you can translate from military to this. So, but I want to say thank, and I just want to say thank you for taking the time out to put this together for us. And I'll go ahead and give y'all this time back. But Miss Gray, I'm sorry, I just had to ask you that. Good Lord have mercy. I'm going to mute myself.
And you know what? So I like to play off words. So say for instance, I do want to acknowledge that that is a skill. Okay. Do I own that skill? No. But is it a skill? Yes. So maybe in the civilian translation, and Desmond has sat down with me and Miss Gray, we do that. You normalize, you tell me what you did to the fact that I can normalize it in civilian language. Because sometimes that's a little easier to kind of do the adjustment. Whereas that means attention to detail in my world. So
Right.
that's attention to detail. That means that you're very attentive, like you're very attentive, that you are basically aware. So there's other ways that we can still say the same thing, because again, that is a skill. But we're gonna put it, and again, people say, well, attention to detail. Yes, I've worked with teams, I've had very special projects where I have to be very specific on my task, and as well as attention to detail. So it is ways for us to break that down. So thank you so Ms. Gray for bringing that up, because that is very true. There is some language that we may not understand. And also now granted, there are employers, let me give a plug, there are employers who are very veteran friendly. Okay. So I want you to be aware. So those are great moments to build that rapport, especially if you have employers who make the person who's recruiting also served. So never, stray away from those moments to connect. But I do think that in the general population, we just want to be mindful of what we are saying and presenting, and so that we can make sure they're seeing who we're presenting to. And we love to do these. Like, first of all, you all are some of our funnest students, because you're honest and you will tell us if something isn't working. So you don't know how much we appreciate that in the world of career. And then the last tool, when we're talking about networking, is alumni. So our school is still small, but it's still building. So in LinkedIn, there is a function where you can see all of the alumni that went to UNT Dallas. And some of you have traveled. Some of you have had opportunity to travel. Maybe UNT Dallas isn't your first school. Maybe this isn't maybe you had a friend who went to another school. You just want to see what these alumni bases look like. Well, guess what? At UNT Dallas, you can see where majority of the alum are working, where companies they've been in. And that always helps our students when we're doing job searches, because we'll find job titles, but then we need to identify the actual companies who seem to be proactively hiring our students, or students that come to UNT Dallas are currently employed with. So we try to make sure we start there a little bit, just so that we can kind of do some leveraging, right? Maybe like our friend mentioned, been here since 2018. I'm pretty sure that someone probably within the network would be at a company that they possibly connect with, say this was a resource or reference. And so that's kind of what we want you to use that alumni tool as a way to network, because your common interest would be going to UNT Dallas or organizations. So never hesitate to kind of use those opportunities.
And how you find it is you'll type in like the University of North Texas at Dallas, and then scroll down and click alumni, just like on the little tab below. I know my screenshot like cut off like of how to get there, but that's where you, and if you scroll down, it'll list all the people, and you can click on these bars or things like that, and it'll like make the people smaller. So if you wanted to learn maybe like who's working at the city of Dallas, you can click that, and it'll list all our alumni below.
And so that kind of directly leads us back into step 3. Well, it's a handshake. So before we do handshake, so appreciate the plug on handshake, okay? Handshake is literally where most of our employers are going to champion, trying to connect with us. This is just not us. So what happens is this is employers all across the state that are connected in the system. These are not only just our events. We do put our events in the system, but we encourage students to use handshake because companies that they don't necessarily partner with us, but they post what events are coming up, especially their recruiters. Also, whatever you upload in your handshake, same way as LinkedIn, you're going to notice that you're going to get recruiters sending you emails. Hey, you should apply here. Hey, you should look at this. And again, these are just blanket emails based on whatever your profile says. And again, are you going to be interested in all of them? Probably not. But what if it's that one that you're interested in that you really weren't actively looking, but it came to you? And that's what I want to use handshake is. That's how you make appointments. That's how you're able to go see events. And that's also where you can see part-time, full-time internships and like service learning opportunities that are posted. So it's just, I tell students, it's a great way to start. We have Google searches, we have LinkedIn jobs, we have Indeed, we have all of these great resources. But we encourage our students, start with at home first. It's a system that you pay for. We know that these employers are specifically looking for UNT Dallas graduates because of our major selection. So that's why we encourage you to go to Handshake. And again, it lets you have your resume there. Again, it does offer for you to put a photo, but if you don't, that is totally okay. So we just want you to make sure that you're utilizing Handshake and LinkedIn as ways to not only network, but also start building that professional brand. Because when you hear networking, I want you to connect that term with professional branding. The same way we think about, I use the I'm a Coke Zero fanatic. So we know these colors. We think of Coca-Cola immediately. I want you to think of that when it comes to your personal brand. When someone thinks of what are they thinking about? Yes, they see that you served. Yes, they know that your service, but I've talked to a lot of my veteran students and they're like, I'm more than that. You know, that's one part of my story. But these are other parts of my story. And I want to make sure that we're selling the whole story. So that's why Handshake, LinkedIn, use alumni, networking, connecting with Ms. Gray. All of these are very important because after you know what you value and your passions, you have to know how to start connecting so that we can again build into the next steps that we'll talk about.
And just like we talked about, it's time to kind of get up to speed on the job search basics. So now that you figured out what you want to do, you've kind of built your network and realized what resources are available to you, it's time to begin your job search. So you need to know how to put together a resume and cover letter and preparing for interviews. So let's dive right into resumes. So this is a breakdown of a resume, and obviously everybody's will look different, but we're just gonna go over necessary sections and how it might look different. So you'll have your contact info, you'll have your name, cell phone number, your personalized LinkedIn URL, which we already went over that. When you log on to LinkedIn and like click your profile, it'll be in the right top corner, say like edit URL, and you make it your first or last name, just last name. You can have like 1 or 2 numbers, but nothing like crazy because the like, more complicated you make it, it's going to make it more complicated for the employer to find it. Address, this is just an example. We probably should update this, but I don't tell students to put their address on there. We just put city, state, and zip code. The world is a very scary place and they can find out exactly where you live on Google Maps and they don't need to have access to that. So let's keep it simple. You can also have your student email, but think about, before you put your student email, think about if you're going to check it after you graduate. That's what I tell with my students. You can use it, but I recommend using a Gmail with your first and last name and just keeping it very simple. Something you'll use after you graduate, because maybe when you turn in your resume, but there might not be something at that point, and they might contact you later and they send it to your school email that you do not check, you might miss out on an opportunity. So I would say keep it a Gmail and just your first and last name. They're free and easy to make, very straightforward, simple. You will have your education listed. So you'll have the University of North Texas at Dallas, Dallas, Texas. And I know North Texas at Dallas tells us exactly where we're located, but we still need to put Dallas, Texas next to it. Anticipated graduation date, you would just put May 2024. You don't have to put like the time you were here. You don't have to put from like 2014 to current or whatever it may be. They just need to know the month and date you are anticipated to graduate, or if you graduated that month and date, that's what you put. Making sure you spell out your full bachelor degree. So Bachelor of Business Administration in General Business. So it'll be Bachelor of blank in major is how it will be. And also if your GPA is above a 3.0, you put it on there, and below a 3.0, we leave it off. So this is where things, depending on how much experience you have on your resume, relevant coursework, I would say be an optional one. It's kind of a filler. If you need that related work experience, you can list your relevant coursework. It's a great way to make that connection. But if you have more recent experience and you've been in the field a little bit longer, you don't have to have this section. It's just an example. And then we have skills here. So skills would be, we're talking about those hard skills. It would be like computer programs or certifications. So like for this one, we have Pro Systems, FX Engagement, Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, and then we have Word and languages listed. Skills would be more at the bottom of your resume. That's not the entire focus. And once again, it's kind of a filler section. So if you have a great experience, you might not even need a skill section. You can showcase your skills in your job description bullet points. This is just optional, but if you do need a skill section, it'd be more toward the bottom. And then we have academic projects. This also could be relevant experience if you would like. So maybe you came out and you didn't quite have something related to the field you're going into. You can list your school projects or campus involvement or things like that, and it's still applicable experience. So for example, this is like financial statement analyst. Like this could be like a project, and they talked about what they did in the project, and you can just list like the month and date through it. You would list like the university you took it at, maybe the name of the class or even the professor, and just kind of list 3 to 5 bullet points of what you did in that project. Maybe you worked with a group, or maybe you sent out a survey to 200 students, letting them know what exactly you did. So that way they can understand how it's related to the job experience. And then we go to work experience. This would be the heart of your resume. So we would have the name of the company, the location, the time there. So it'd be like May 2020 to present. And then 3 to 5 bullet points starting with action verbs would be ideal. And if the job is in the past, your verbs will be in past tense. But if your job is still present, they'll be in present tense. So just like this one above. And yeah, so that's kind of broken down. And you always want to try to go back in and add numbers when you can, when you build a bullet point for your resume. It helps make it stronger. A method I like to use is called the PAR method. So it stands for like problem, action, and results. And that's basically a key point to a bullet point. So you're going to talk about the problem at hand, the action you fixed or how you took care of it, and the result of it. That way it shows your accomplishments, your problem solving skills. I know it's like building a bullet point can be hard sometimes. So that's like the method I like to use. It checks all the boxes. It's pretty simple and straightforward. So that's it for resumes. I don't know if we have any questions. And then we have this one. We have KISS, which means keep it simple. Also very important. Employers only look at your resume for like 20 to 30 seconds. And I feel like after the pandemic, it's probably been even shorter, maybe 10 to 20. I know my attention span has gone down. So making sure you keep it simple, easy read, and very clear. So that way they can look at it, look for keywords, and that way you get their attention. Now for a cover letter. Cover letter is a little bit harder. This is more filling in the gaps of your resume. It's not another resume. You are telling your story, your journey, and why you're applying for this job. And so we're going to go over it paragraph by paragraph, because cover letter is kind of like a formula. Once you make it, you can go back in and adjust it to jobs you're applying for. You might have to write a whole new cover letter depending on the job and your different relevant experiences you have. But we're just going to break it down by each paragraph. So this paragraph is what position you're applying for and how you learned about this position. So if you found it on LinkedIn, you would write, I found this Amazon job on LinkedIn, and making sure you actually list the job title. So if it's like an internship or a HR specialist, whatever it might be, you list the job title, the name of the company, and how you learned about it. If it was through their human resources website, etc., you just need to list where you found it. You could also state why you're interested in this position. So what attracted you to this company? Was it their benefits, maybe the fact they show appreciation toward veterans, things like that. You want to list why it caught your interest, because companies want to know why them, like why did they stand out to you? You kind of make them feel special, kind of let them know what stands out about it, so that way you understand. And also it shows you research the company, which is always good. So the second paragraph is you tell the employer why they should hire you. You describe your accomplishments, previous experiences, and job-specific skills, but also you want to be selective. So like I said, we don't need to restate our resume. I like to tell students maybe focus on one experience. So like one student I worked with, she wanted to be a pharmacy tech. So she talked about her experience as an intern, about how she saw a mom with a sick child and how they had to wait patiently, but how the pharmacists went out of their way to help them get them out on time. And she showcased how she had different skills in that time period, how she cared for people, time management, and paying attention to detail. So we're like, in that one moment, we describe a lot of skills that we have. So that's why we're saying like, you kind of want to tell your story, but also showcase your skills and your passion and why. This all goes kind of back to the first step. But there's just no need to restate your resume because you're telling your story, you're kind of filling in the gap why, and making sure you be very selective and you demonstrate your best self and put your best foot forward. A good tip is always look at the qualifications listed on the position announcement and make sure you respond to each qualification listed. So a job description is essentially like your cheat sheet. I always like to print my job description out and I'll sit down and I'll write right beside it like what experience I have that relate to it. And that's kind of like your outline right there of what you want to focus on. And it's simple right in front of you. Like I said, it's your cheat sheet. And you're essentially establishing your case for an interview and at least for 3 accomplishments that fit what the employer are looking for. So we're going back to maybe highlighting 2 or 3 experiences. You probably want your experience. So you'll have your first paragraph telling you why. Your second paragraph can be broken into 2 if you wanted to. So you're focusing on maybe 2 experiences. And you want to show that they're accomplishments. So making sure you have that. And then also make sure, like so many people, I think when they come to cover letters, they basically kind of beg for the job and they're like, I need this job. But you really want to focus on what you can do for the company instead of what the company can do for you. You need to let them know why they need you. You have all these skills, you have all the experiences, and you need to be like, look, you need me. I'm very unique because of my story and why I'm passionate about it. That's how that second paragraph is going to go. And that's how you got to tell your story. You got to sell your why essentially. And then the last paragraph is very simple. It offers maybe like a follow-up date depending on like with your employer. Like if you have a busy schedule, you can leave like, oh, it's best to contact me like Monday through Friday, maybe 8 to 10 a.m. So that way you don't miss their call. You can let them know what works for you. You can also, you want to repeat your phone number and email. And I know it's at the top. This is the same header as your resumes we had before, but you want to repeat it again at the bottom to make sure the employer has that information and it's what they last read. So just repeat it one more time. And most importantly, this is something I don't think students struggle with sometimes. Make sure you thank the employer for them time for considering you and reading your application and getting to know your why. So many people skip that little step and it's literally one sentence and it's so simple and it makes such a game changer. So making sure you thank them for their time and efforts for looking over your application. And sometimes I know we move to different areas, so I wanted to let this in. So if you're visiting the area and like, hi, I'm actually in town this date, sometimes the employers will want to work with you and maybe do an interview during that time period while you're on your own time. And they're more likely to kind of engage in that way. So if you're thinking about applying for a job in a different city and you're going to visit there before, let them know in the cover letter and they'll most likely kind of move some things around and try to get you in if they are interested in you as an applicant. So letting them know that you'll be in that area. And this is just an example. So we have our name here and it'll be the same header as your resume. So you literally copy and paste your resume over for your header wise. So that way, if the employer saves your resume and cover letter in 2 different spots, or they have it printed out and it's kind of everywhere, they know it belongs to the same person. It's your same brand, like Jackie talked about earlier. You want to make your brand, you want to make it about who you are. So this is a great way to identify that. You have the date here. Also, some people, you'll want to put the name of the company, their street address, essentially their address right here. And you'll say, dear hiring committee, making sure there's a colon there. And then you'll state your first paragraph and see this person broken into 2 paragraphs. And then you have your closing paragraph. Ooh, let's go back to example. Now, I think it might have cut off your sincerely, but you always want to try to add your signature at the very bottom. And you might have to save it as a PDF and then go back in there and add your signature, but it's important to have your real signature. Make sure it's not like a cursive font you have on Microsoft Word or anything like that, your real signature. I know it's complicated. There's ways you can do it on YouTube. I find them. So making sure you utilize that. And then we also have a free resource for interviewing, but we also do mock interviews. If you need that personal touch to kind of help work through some interviews, you can let us know what position you're interviewing for, the name of the company, and we help you out, but we'll kind of break down an interview real quick. So usually the first question is, tell me about yourself, which is essentially your elevator pitch. So you're introducing yourself, a summary of what you do, explain what you're looking for, and finish maybe with a call to action. Say like, this is why I'm interested in this company. I think I could do well in this position because X, Y, Z, something like that. And we call it an elevator pitch because it should be short enough as if you have to tell someone who you are going between floors within an elevator. So that's why you do want to make sure it's relatively short. Sometimes people will get to talking and they answer a whole list of questions before as they finish their elevator pitch. And making sure you stay short and focused and making sure you're customizing it to the position you're applying for. And once you kind of go past those warm-up questions, you're going to have STAR-based questions, which are basically behavioral interview questions. So it stands for situation. So you're going when they ask you a question, which will be like, what's the problem you encountered and how did you overcome it situation? And some of them might be vague as that. Some of them might go into more detail. It just depends on the interview. But you're going to set up a situation. So you'll set up the scene and give the necessary details for your example. Task, you're going to describe your responsibility in the situation. And then action, explain exactly what steps you took to address the problem. And results, what were the outcomes of your actions that you have achieved? So those are what would be how you handle the interview or the behavioral interview questions. Just want to let y'all know on that trick so that way you can kind of prepare for that one. And then also when it comes to an end of an interview, you always want to make sure that you have 2 questions prepared and ask specific, well thought out questions about the position and company. So this goes back to doing your research. Request information on what to expect from here, maybe what the future looks like, professional development. Thank them for their time and efforts, and make sure you send them a thank you email, or sometimes you can do a handwritten note depending on the situation. But making sure you follow up, that makes a big difference in interviews. Sometimes they'll pick a candidate who said thank you compared to someone who did not. And make sure you personalize it to each person in the search committee, because if you copy and paste thank yous, they will know and they will compare. So making sure you personalize to each person. And Arthur sent an elevator pitch PDF in the chat. Also, we have big interviews. So if you kind of need some help before mock interviews, this is an online resource we have. It's on our career services page. You literally log in and make your account, and it has like modules set up, and you can even pick something in your field you're interested in, or internships, entry level, whatever it may be. And it has some automated questions to you. And what will happen is like you'll click the video and they'll be like, tell me about yourself. And then you have 2 tries to record yourself, and then it gives you feedback. So this is a really cool free resource we have for our students here, and it's important y'all take advantage. So I'm going to skip the video for time purposes because I feel like we got that covered. Yeah.
Miss Bailey, I would like to say that one of the jobs I got through the federal agency, the reason I got the job is after I received and they told me I had the job, they said one of the reasons I had gotten it, I was the only candidate that actually said thank you, and I shook their hand, I remembered their name, and I sent them each an individual email, and they said that's why I was hired, because I was memorable.
See, y'all heard it here first. It works.
Mm-hmm.
And so we've looked at these steps. So we came in, finding passions, and then you go into networking. And then we go into the meat of what we hear a lot of our career: resume, cover letters, interviews. Resumes, there's no general resume. Resumes are for the jobs you're applying to. So that's why we say finding a job is a job. So just know when you're looking at resumes, like Bailey mentioned, they're going to look different. Resumes, the most relevant information is always up top. Least relevant is at the bottom. So that's why we want you to touch base. Interviews, practice. No one is naturally good at interviews, okay? You may be well versed. You may be able to have a conversation, but interviews should still be practiced. So make sure you're double checking in. Arthur sent us some great links. Like we have Big Interview, we have Optimal Resume. Optimal Resume has some already cover letter examples, some resume examples, some thank you letter examples. So like Bailey said, there's many different ways that you can use it. Even in Big Interview, there are samples. So we don't want you to think you got to start from scratch, okay? We want you to know that we have the resources. So do not stress yourself out for starting from scratch. But as we move from, okay, Jack, got resume, got cover letters, ready for interviews. Now this is the piece that's called a little patience, okay, y'all? Because it's time. You know, time moves at its own. We cannot rush time. We do not get to slow down time. But what you want to do is you want to put it in perspective. So that's why we set up schedules. Most of my students, when they're job searching, job searches come with anxiety. They come with stress. They come with fears. You don't have to take those away. Those are normal. This is what happens when we're trying to get new opportunities. But with that, we have to put a schedule so that we can know that we're holding ourselves accountable, but we also have a designated time frame. So on top of work and life, it's not getting jumbled. So you want to have some designated time set aside. You want to get familiar with technology. Now, I'm gonna be honest, y'all, before the pandemic, we kind of got away with this, okay? I'm gonna be honest. We kind of skimmed under the radar. MS Teams, Zoom, and all of these cool video softwares were there. But until we were stuck at home and we had to learn these, now jobs expectations are that you already know how to use them. Okay, so there's now an expectation. Now before there wasn't. So I know a lot of my students are like, I don't like them. We don't like them, but we like money. So we want to make sure that we're getting familiar with them and that we're using them. The power in numbers. Now, I'll tell my students all the time, rule of thumb is 5 job titles, not majors, job titles. And under each job title, you need to apply for at least 10 jobs per job title, which would give you 50. And in the opportunity of you getting a job and out of 50 applications is way more than if you only did 2 job applications or 2 job titles and put 1 application per job title. So this is where we say job search strategies is having 5 job titles, keeping track of our job titles per the title. So if I say I want to be an admin, I want to be a coordinator, I want to do work with children, it's okay. They don't have to be in the same field, but you need 5 job titles. Then we use our job hunter app that helps you keep track of it, or Excel. But again, we have to think in time. I set an hour a week to apply to jobs. I'm getting comfortable with my technologies in case I need to follow up. Are they using Zoom or MS Teams or any other software? I know that I'm applying to at least 10 jobs per these job titles. And then guess what? You are going to see the effects, timed and planned. And a lot of my students, they get mad. I think the funniest story I had is one student came to me, you're not doing your job, Ms. Pope. I was like, what? I'm not doing my job. No, you're not doing your job. I'm not getting any callbacks. I said, okay, well, let's sit down. Let's pull up the email. How many jobs have we applied to? I applied to 100 jobs. And I was just like, well, my numbers ain't right. If you apply to 100 jobs, something. And when we come to realize they'd only applied to 5 jobs. But the 5 different companies' application process was so long, it felt like they had applied to multiple jobs. And that's why we talk about anxiety, fear, those things are real. So this person was very stressed. They wanted a job by the time they graduated. So the moment I'm going through these applications, they didn't have a time set. They did not want to find their 5 job titles. They did not want to keep organized of how many jobs they're applying, and that made it worse. So as much as we have time, we have to set time aside to apply, time to keep track of it. Because I'm gonna use an example. If you have a job title and you go to Ms. Gray and you say, Ms. Gray, I really want to be a coordinator of special populations. Like that's something not just veterans, but like anybody, low income students, whatever that may be. Now Ms. Gray is gonna be on the lookout for jobs that fall in that category. You may come over and say, hey, Bailey, admin, I'm really feeling just keeping stuff organized. I can do that. So then Bailey is helping you navigate admin. I tell students you should have 5. Your least favorite, okay, let's be honest, bills are real, to the one that will make you just feel good, like, on top of the world, like I done accomplished something. And then you got the third one that says, I feel good. It's not my end, but it's a good start. You need to have 5. You need to rank them. That's why you see Bailey had here. Your top 3 is where we want to focus first. The 5 help you with your anxiety, but the top 3 would be my ideal, kind of in the middle. And I don't want this one necessarily, but it'll give me the skills. All of your job titles should be giving you skills, okay? So that's where we talk about job search, but it's in time. So as you're going through, set time apart, take time to learn technology, take time to understand, and I'm gonna have to apply to more than 5 jobs and realize I'm gonna need some help with an app. I need to have job titles. So that's a big piece. After we've done all of this, we have to tie it around with actual strategies to obtain these.
I was about to talk and I was muted. Okay, so don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't get discouraged. Like we talked about, we've been there. We know the anxiety and stress when it comes to finding a job. So the average job seeker, it takes about 6 months to find a job, and that's what we're here for. Here to help you make that time shorter, but you have to work with us and also meet us halfway and put forth that effort, like Ms. Polk just talked about. So, and you're looking for work when we see there are more job seekers than there are jobs sometimes. But right now, I don't think that's the issue. So yeah. But we also have the Veteran Success Center for your resources, like we've been talking about, to build your network. You have people in your corner and your team to support you. And here's all the services they provide, which I could read them, but I'm pretty sure y'all are well aware of these. So I'm going to keep moving forward. And then we have career services, what we've been talking about. So we're here for career advising, career assessments, resumes, cover letters, interviews, grad school prep, career planning, counseling, job search, LinkedIn. We've all kind of talked about these today and how they play a role in the job search. And so that's what we're here for. We're here to be an ease in helping you find your dream job or find your next step to get that dream job. And that's what all these resources take place for.
But at the same time, career services, I'd like to thank you for all that you do. But also, I would like my students to know, don't come there with a blank piece of paper. Come there with something, okay? It's not their job to do it for you. It's their job to help you enhance it, expound upon it. Don't come there with a blank paper. That's all I have to say, because that just makes it longer and harder if you don't have any idea or conceptualization of what you actually want. So coming there and to say, I want a job, that's not help with the resume. You're asking them to do it for you. And that's not what they're there to do. They help you to enhance, express, expound upon, and then find your passion and put that passion out there to help you find the job that you really want, but not to do it for you. There are paid people that do it for you, but that's the big bucks. Just saying.
And that's what some people come to our career center thinking that we have jobs to hand out, and that is not how the situation goes. If we did, we'd probably be making a little bit more money, but here we are. And so that's why it's important to come in and kind of have like what you want to talk about. Maybe you have some prepared questions or what your concern or focus is, and we will sit down and talk that through with you. We will talk through your resume, even if it's just ideas. At least it's something for us to go off of to realize where you want to go in the future or what your goal is, and or you might, hey, this is my starting point, I'm not sure where to go. As long as you have something or like something prepared for us or like questions, we will work with you and meet you halfway.
And don't be afraid to start. One of my favorite questions is, I don't really know where to start, but I know this is what I want to do. That is a start. So I know, like, again, also put this in your back pocket. You do not have to get a job in anything you major in. Your major could be content knowledge that you just really enjoy learning, but your skills and knowledge may be elsewhere. So do know that when you come to career, we are not here selling. So I'm not saying come on prepared, Desmond, because Desmond knows me. What I am saying is I'm going to make you take that assessment, and then we're going to sit down, and then from that assessment, I'm going to see what you want, because I'm going to challenge you to tell me what you're interested in. Like, again, like Ms. Gray said, the passion. So you can come not having everything perfect. That's not the premise is not perfection. It's saying, hey, I want to work with children. I don't know how to get there, but I want to work with children. Or, hey, I've been doing this type of work in business. Even when I was in the service, I did a lot of this business and courses. This is what I want it to look like now. So regardless of what side you are on that spectrum, we want you to come in, again, telling us what you're needing help with versus just to get a job. Because if I'm honest right now, there's jobs all around DFW. But again, if you're saying what jobs you want, the jobs that you're most passionate, interest about, the jobs that allow you to live the lifestyle you want, that's a different conversation. But you'll see all of our social media. Follow us on social media. Send us emails. We are not strangers. If you do have questions, reach out to Miss Gray. We love partnering in any type of way possible. So should I be active in taking care of me? Well, you know what? That's a good point. I want you to know that you're such an experienced person that you are the expert of your life. So all I get to do is be on your glorified journey. I'm not here to control the outcome. I'm here to help whatever the outcome looks like. So Desmond, I bet you appreciate my fluffy response. Okay. So other than that, any questions? We like to make sure we're respectful of time. If you do think of questions, please send them over to careers@untdallas.edu, or if you get them to Ms. Gray will get them to us. You can email us. In Handshake, schedule appointments. We see appointments. So even though the semester is ending, we still, I think a semester after everything is over, we're still in the office or so. Even when the semester comes back, we come back earlier. So we still have appointments available. So don't get hesitant, because a lot of students like, we're still seeing students before school starts back. So if you do need an appointment then, or even after graduation is over, I encourage students, sometimes that's the best time, just because life is a little slower. So don't hesitate to schedule those appointments, reach out to us, follow us on social media. Arthur put in the link to our survey. We're going into the new semester. So again, let us know what more collaboration you'd like to see, more content, whatever that is. We just want to know your feedback so we can make sure that it's intentional. Other than that, if you have any questions, team, anybody have any questions?
Not seeing anything in the chat so far. Arthur,
Awesome.
do we have any on Facebook?
None on Facebook.
Oh, I do see a hand raised.
Or should I say none on Meta?
Oh.
Oh, I think I see a question. I see a hand raised.
So it's Miko again. I really don't have a question. I just want to say thank you for putting this together. I want to say thank you for essentially rearranging your schedule for meeting, or for rearranging your schedule for redoing this for tonight. I know it was originally scheduled for what was it, a couple of weeks ago, Mr. Lumsey, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And for those of you that have joined tonight, I don't know if it's mainly student veterans or anybody else that did come out tonight. I want to thank y'all for coming, for joining tonight. You didn't have to rearrange your schedule, Mr. Lumsey and Career Services, but you did. I'm about to get emotional because you took your time out to meet us where we are, because transitioning out of the military and into transitioning out of the military and back into civilian life can already be hard for us as it is. And just to have a support like you makes it easy. And it just helps a lot. And to have just another resource for us to be able to come, to go from one, to have one more resource to help us further our career. And then be able to again rearrange your schedule to meet us where we are, to further our education and further our career. I want to thank you on behalf of the student veterans here at UNT Dallas. Ms. Gray, we thank you so very much for meeting us where we are. I know we have given you such a hard time this semester, but thank you very much for meeting us. I can't see everybody else that's on this platform, but I thank y'all very much. And I only have a year left here, but I will be using the Career Services within the next few months, because I do have some decisions that I need to make to further my career and getting on out there in the workforce. So thank y'all so very much for meeting us tonight and giving us this education tonight.
Thank you. We don't say it enough. Thank you for your service. If this is the bare minimum that I can do for all the sacrifices that I will never understand that you and everyone has made, this is our thank you. We can't, there's nothing, you've done ultimate sacrifice in many ways. So I'm gonna stay here if it's 7, if it's 8, if it's 6, or if it's earlier, because we appreciate you. So that's the beauty, is that we get to both exchange appreciation, and we just want to be a help. The world has yet to see the beautiful stories that will come from all of our students, and our job is to basically facilitate that. But thank you. Like, no one would ever know the sacrifices. I won't ever know those sacrifices. Arthur won't, Bailey won't, but we know that y'all made them. And so it's an honor to be able to say, hey, I'm helping. And so just know that, like, anytime that we can accommodate, let us know, and we'll do the best that we can to accommodate. Believe that. And we appreciate y'all in the time. And the question, we like the feedback. Usually we get like dry air, even if the Desmond, we can deal with Desmond every now and then. So I appreciate you all. And is there any other questions? Again, that was just beautiful. It's heartfelt. Thank you. To be honest, we don't get those little nuggets of joy often in career. We get the yelled at a lot. So know that that means the world to us. But I know it's the afternoon. I want to make sure that everyone gets a time to decompress and breathe and take all of this information that we overwhelmed you with in the matter of an hour, process it. But nevertheless, Ms. Gray, don't hesitate to let us know what else. Even any of my friends on here, let us know how we can best help, and we'll be there. Any other?
Definitely. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for all that you continue to do. The VSC loves to collaborate with career services. It just seems like a natural progression, because I don't know any student veteran that graduates and who doesn't want a job, or I should say another career, because they had one and now they're going into another one. So we thank you.
Thank you all. And so are there any other questions on Facebook or any other social media platforms?
Nope, I think we are good.
Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a great afternoon. Thank you. If you didn't get a chance, complete the survey. Let Ms. Gray or y'all email us and let us know any other additional programs or times and dates that can help. But until next time, you have a great, great afternoon, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.